Hey everyone, from this video you're gonna be learning the following typical themes of the caro-kann. How to neutralize the knight e2 sideline from the advanced variation. Plus we get to see how to squeeze your opponent with a slightly better position from a super common pawn structure. How to use Firouzja's pet line against the exchange variation and punish the overambitious g3 move. After that, we will have a look on the same line but with the standard knight e2 move. And at the end of the video, I'm going to show you how to annihilate the Cole system by transposing back into the caro. Opponent opening up with e4. Gonna be trying out the caro-kann, and we do have the advance. And the knight e2 sideline, wow. So yeah, the idea is they're trying to trap your bishop, but as long as you play h5, you should be good. And he plays bishop d3. More often they play with bishop e2. And what you have to know about these lines is that you can easily give up that pawn and break in the center. And in most of the lines, even when they take on h5, they will have issues with the pawn on h4. So black is doing very well in these lines generally. Bishop d3, I think maybe it's a bit better than bishop e2, but still black should be completely fine. He takes with the pawn. That is interesting. I'm not like super familiar with this. Like pawn is hanging. Can we just go queen b6? He can't play bishop e3 because b2 drops. So if he goes back with a knight, I mean that's kind of a nice thing to see. Putting the knight to f5. On h6 was fine, but he maybe can take it, so I thought just this way is a bit better, not allowing him to take. Not sure taking was great, but okay, I think this was simpler. And I think we're gonna be getting the knight to f5 and then break with c5. It's like dc, bishop c5, d4. Can go for the check, bishop d2, knight c6. That's just kind of an equal position, which is okay. I mean, don't get me wrong. Could also go check, but maybe he plays simply king f1. So I think this is simplest. Okay, on d4, maybe he goes check king f1 anyways. So probably starting bishop e7 is even better. Kind of inviting him to play bg5 at some point, but it's not easy for him to play bishop g5 because he always has to watch out for that one. So yeah, I told you he's gonna be playing it this way. That was like pretty obvious. And we've got basically like some kind of a French defense position, but a pretty good version. Could even break with f6 now, but then knight f4 I have to watch out for. I think we should be castling first and then this side. Probably just rook c8 and try to create some play on the queen side. Okay, a3. Could go maybe knight a5 to c4. Or like knight a5, queen b3. As an idea. This is also interesting. b4, but it gives us the juicy square on c4. And bishop g5 would be a huge blunder because we'll get the queen. That would be pretty funny tactic. Attacking the pawn, just g6. That would have been a pretty funny tactic if he would have gone bg5. But no, I guess it's pretty comfortable for me. We can break with a5 even. Open up the queen side. I don't think we could have really have gone for like f6 kind of break in these positions. Because he always says knight f4 and I have a lot of weaknesses. So in general, you should be very careful when considering to play f6 or not. So okay, he just goes knight back. Maybe he's preparing to play bg5. So we could play little waiting move, just you know, kind of inviting him to do. I think he'll play bg5 for sure after knight e2. Oh, he played queen d3. Never mind. Okay, could still do this. Idea to play knight e3, but I don't want to play for cheapos. But queen a6 also bishop b4. It's actually not a cheapo. Queen a6 is good move because it's pinning his pawn. And yeah, just I think we... Ooh, I wanted to take, but then have to watch out for bishop h6 and he wins my queen. Yeah, missed that in the first place, so maybe having the king on h7 was better, but it doesn't really matter that much, I would say. Just play knight b6 back, offering the queen trade. I don't really mind the double pawns. The knight could potentially reach a4 and we could put pressure on the c file. And like b5, we always have queen a4, so you don't need to be worried about that. So yeah, gonna be trading, taking on d3. Maybe should have started with queen d3 in fact, because he could have still played b5, but just getting into this and rook c2, it feels just slightly better for me. Knight f4 could happen, but he can simply double up and he can sack on e6, but I don't think it's any good. And I think black has pretty one-sided push. Could even do knight a4, stopping like all the counterplay. Could do rook b2, and on like rook c3, maybe rook e2. Still has rook c8, not that clear. Yeah, knight a4 I think is nice, stopping this and simple plan to double up. I think that's interesting. Yeah, I think that's the play, like rook b2, rook c1 will take, okay, knight there. That's kind of a strange move. I guess just rook b2. Maybe rook c4 next. Rook c4 an idea to even stack the exchange. Those could also be pretty dangerous. He's like very passive. He should be like losing this one slowly. It's like even hard for him to make any moves. It's like almost in a zugzwang. If he moves the rook, I get a2 square. Yeah, not an easy position for him. Well, I could improve in many ways. Maybe I'll even need to do this. Okay, rook c1. We don't really have takes because of rook c8 and I don't see a follow-up. But maybe we can take and play rook b1. I think that should be okay. Maybe rook c4 simply, it's even better. Keeping the pressure, and if he takes we get a strong pawn, and this is huge threat now because on rook c4 we'll have dc and we win a piece. So this is big threat that he has to watch out for. Yeah, he plays rook d1. We still have this with knight c3, then knight d1. I think that's like a winning d4 pawn. So I'm gonna play it. Or like if he takes, winning a3. Yeah, just winning the pawn on d4. Pretty clean. Now we've got winning endgame. Rook d2, maybe cleanest. Yeah, rook a2 is fine. Maybe gave him rook c7, sort of. Still should be completely winning after the pin. Can do knight check. Now this. He just trading the b5 pawn. Knight e6, I have king f6. Okay, maybe that was a bit inaccurate, but okay, this should be good. I'll have to speed up a bit with this. Okay, managed to get a game. I think it was actually pretty smooth, especially that rook c4 move I think was actually quite precise. This was actually a good move that I didn't even consider. Just play knight b6. I think even with the double pawn, these endgames are pushing for black with the open file. And okay, after we got into the endgame, black's dominating, maybe just not so easy to make progress. So I went knight a4. You have many ways of playing this, but now I think, okay, taking and rook b1, rook a1 was crashing, but rook c4 also not bad. Second move. And now I think we just win material with rook e2. Okay, it was better for him to play rook c3, that's correct. Oh, I missed rook d3 that he has. Yeah, because now the point is, not like in the, unlike in the other lines, he can take with a king and defend this, and it's only like slightly better. Okay, getting the black pieces, going for the caro-kann, and it's gonna be an exchange variation. I'll try out my knight f6 tricky move order with bishop g4. And the idea is that, well, in all of these lines, white is pretty much getting like a London system with bishop f4. But thanks to this move order, we're able to play queen c7, defend this pawn, and also stop that idea. Because now bishop f4 looks clever, because they take on b7, win the rook. But there's checkmate on c1 actually. So that doesn't work. And okay, g3 is first time I see this move. I guess it's just bad. I think easiest would be to go knight c6, bishop f4, e5, and then the knight e5, bishop b5, bishop d7. That just looks good for me. Could also do knight c6, bishop f4, queen d7, and that g3 move is like kind of awkward. Yeah, I think we start with this anyways, and we'll see. Could really do e5. Could just play more like kind of positional, like queen d7, knight e2, e6, knight f3, bishop d6, I guess. Just also bishop h3 is a funny move. Okay, I think e5 should be like the way to go against this, really. So the knight e5, bishop b5 check, bishop d7, bishop takes. Yeah, I think let's just go for this. I think it's fun. Yeah, dropping the bishop. We have the isolated pawn, but he's got like a lot of weak squares. That's kind of the argument of playing this way. And like bishop d7 will have to take with this knight, like only move. I've seen he can take this pawn, but maybe can get very interesting play after long castle. That's what I had in mind, and I've seen similar lines. And now knight c5 could be a threat, but maybe just bishop e5, rook d5, bishop c7, play that position. So not sure I'm threatening to play knight c5 immediately. Maybe we can start with g5. Yeah, I think g5 is actually an interesting move next. Bishop g5 and I don't know. So yeah, knight e2, can I do g5? Like bishop g5, knight f6 even. Yeah, I think it just feels good, so I'm gonna play it without much calculation. He has to take on g5, otherwise bishop e5, knight e5 seems just bad for him, because we get the knight to d3. And yeah, like bishop takes, I think knight f6 is simplest with knight e3. So like knight f6 is gonna have to play queen g2, but that doesn't really strike me as a good move, because otherwise knight f3 happens. So like knight f6, queen g2, we probably have a winning blow somewhere. Like knight e1, knight f4 could be potentially. But then he has knight takes on f4 and he's not getting mated. So can you guys like calculate this for me? So that knight f6, queen g2, knight e3, king f1. If we could get rook to d1, that would be mate. So yeah, like knight f4, knight takes. Maybe queen c4? Yeah, okay, we'll start knight f6. It just feels to be the move. Queen g2, we give check, and then we'll see. Queen g2 only move, I think. Maybe there's like I have a feeling like there's a forced mate. Okay, he plays queen b5, but I don't think that's a good move. We have knight f3. Okay, he has king f1. I mean, knight f3, king f1. Can take on g5 and play queen c6. That's like insta win, isn't it? He has check, but king b8. Has maybe f3. Could also start this way. Yeah, this might be clever. And now his queen is not gonna be able to stay on the 5th rank, and we're just winning the bishop. I think that's like actually easiest. Just a6, you know, it's like such a nice move to play. Yeah, he takes, but now he's just busted. Taking, could start knight f3. But yeah, just like this, and okay, so this is potentially deadly. And like castles knight f3. And knight e1. Yeah, this is just easiest win. Knight f3 to come. But I'm like really curious about that queen g2 line. We'll have to check it with a computer. My intuition says it's winning, but I don't know. Yeah, he just resigns. Okay, that was fine. Let's quickly check that queen g2 move. Okay, we actually scored a 95. So apparently maybe this was good. We'll have to check it though. So that was the game review. But let's see that. Okay, so computer likes knight fd7 a bit better. Kind of strange. And yeah, he took, but now this was really interesting with g5. Yeah, g5 best move according to the engine. So how is that going? Knight f6, queen g2. We had check, king f1, and now knight f4 was the big candy. So knight f4 apparently -3. So I was trying to calculate this line, and now only move king e1. And like king g1 is mating with rook d1. That's the point. So like knight f4, the thing is they can't take this way because they're getting checkmated. That's like main point of the line. So they have to take with a knight, only move. And yeah, now I had this, king e1. And okay, I was trying to see, maybe we have this move. Yeah, the engine finds it. And now he can bring the rook. So if he takes, we simply mate, right? Has no moves, just like knight e6, but yeah, can take, and after bishop e3 should be like a win. King wide open in the center. Probably I would have found this because there's no other like move. Maybe bishop c5, but like bishop h6, kind of nicer. Bishop c5 was also maybe interesting, but this is like a very cool one. So like intuition was right that we should be winning here. It's a pity that he went for this queen b5, and now okay, simplest is a6. Like rook d5 also winning, but just a6, and I think queen c6 was best line. Yeah, queen c6 first move, and the point was we have knight e1 checkmate in this line. But yeah, like remember this theme. It's also like, I'll show you. So okay, this looks pretty crazy, but I'll show you a line where this is very common. So after queen c7, if they go h3, this is very much a thing. So knowing this line, yeah, let's say they play knight f3. So by knowing this position, that's like theoretical, and black is having really nice compensation, I could easily make the assumption that, well, in my game, it's very similar. This should probably also work. And that's how, by simply seeing a similar situation before, I can make an easy decision in game that this should be really good for me. Because to some of you, maybe it can look like, well, long castle is not really a standard move in the caro-kann, and maybe the king can be really weak. But knowing that line, it made it much easier for me to go for it. And yeah, now, okay, I mean, thing is, in order to play, in order to move away this knight, we have to get rid of that bishop, because like this is always a problem. So that's how you can easily come up with g5, and now you can easily move this knight without losing the other guy. So yeah, I've seen f6 as well. That was also fine, maybe easiest with knight c5 and then knight to d3, but I really like this motive of going for the knight f4 idea. Okay, getting the black pieces, time to go for the caro-kann. It's actually been a while since we've got into the Tartakovar. Doesn't seem to be like very common for the 22, 23 elo. We've got a lot into like the advance, but okay. Against the exchange, I'm gonna be using my pet line, starting with knight f6, so we can get specifically this bishop g4 move. This is also what Alireza Firouzja plays as black. And now the idea is to deal with this queen b3 move by playing queen c7, and we are stopping their ideal bishop f4 move, trying to get back into the London system positions. And now the trick is against knight e2, preparing bishop f4, we're just taking it, or not allowing it, and just play e6, bishop d6. This is very easy to play for black, very solid. I had a lot of games in these positions with amazing results, usually at least a draw, but more often winning. And you could potentially play with knight d7 as well, but I think just knight c6 is perfectly fine. You could also start with knight e4, but I don't think you need to right away. And we'll also castle short. Yeah, if bishop d3, could potentially play rook b8. That's kind of the move. Could also play knight e4, bishop d3 f5. That is pretty thematic. Yeah, another plan that would be pretty typical for this position is to play rook b8 and then bishop f4 and trade off his bishop pair. But I think even simpler might be to just go knight e4 and support the knight with f5. From my experience, this works pretty well. Even though the other plan with bishop f4, if you don't want to be that aggressive, it's perfectly doable. Trading off the enemy bishop pair, and black is always very solid. Now I wanted f5, idea to take back with the f pawn. It's gonna be like pretty tricky for opponent to deal with that knight, and f3 is never really a good move because it's giving away the g3 square. Okay, he plays bishop d3. I think he could do a move like a6. He's probably just preparing knight f3 if you'd ask me. Not really like a problem. Let's do king h8. I think this is nice because it's preparing some of this standard ideas to get up onto g5. Maybe start queen e7. Idea g5. Thing is, we also have to watch out for c4, but then we have knight a5 in this position, for example. But I think this is pretty nice now. Goes queen d1, and if I go g5, he wants bishop e4 and knight takes on g5. That should be okay for him, but how about just queen e7? Preparing g5. So he wants to take and then jump. Could also maybe take this way, but I think this is standard. And on knight g5, h6 doesn't work so well because of queen h5, and okay, could be preparing f3 on the next move if you think about it. Maybe just this move is not terrible. I know we're putting the rooks in a bit of a funny way, but I think we should be okay. Maybe just like rook f5 next, and against this I want a g6, hitting the queen and also defending queen there, but I thought we have like rook f5 move. Goes h4. I mean, to me that queen is almost trapped there. Like, what if we play queen d7, bishop f8? I don't see how he wants to defend there. Could even go to, yeah, that's fine. I think he has to play like knight h3, but it's ugly move. Maybe just rook h5 there and call it pawn on h4. We're a winning position. Has to go to a3, but take free pawn. This king is now gonna be like pretty weak. Could open it up with e5. Could also bring knight. I think I like idea to bring knight over. Just bishop e7, stopping queen f6 checks and defending the rook. So e5d, rook g4. I think I kind of like that. That was the plan, and on like queen e3. Okay, queen h2 is dropping the piece, so that is fine by me with knight f3 to come. Okay, give me that queen, or you get mated. Okay, let's just play a cute idea. Let's go queen g4. Having a little bit of fun with this as well. And when you see mate in one, you generally look for better. So we have queen h3 and checkmate on h2. Okay, that was pretty fun at the end. Yeah, looking at this game, I don't love the way I played it. I think it was reasonable, but not sure I'm loving my rook g8 move in hindsight. So I think everything was fine till here. You see we have like a slightly better position. And I like really consider this a6 move idea to play b5, just a bit prophylactic. Maybe I'm supposed to go h6, g5. I think that's what I'm gonna do next. Because rook g8, it's kind of too obvious what I'm trying to do. And a bit too committal. Like, okay, it's not bad, but it felt a bit slow. But okay, I mean, engine kind of likes what we did. Yeah, engine prefers the other rook, which is interesting. I thought that rook could be maybe useful there. I don't know how. And okay, after rook f5 was still crashing, yeah, with queen d7 and rook h5, just like winning the free pawn. Rook h5 was also fine, but this is good enough. Yeah, okay, this was actually a pretty well played game. So like in this position, as I was saying, knight e4 is not the only move that you can play, but it's a pretty good one. And the other thing was this, I think. And when they play bishop d3, you can go bishop f4. I mean, maybe you're like very slightly worse, but typical positions for the London and caro-kann in general. From my experience, from the games that I've seen in Grandmaster practice, this should be pretty solid as well for black. No, not an easy push for white here at all. Alright, getting the black pieces. Let's go for the Slav. And maybe gonna be a London system. Or a Cole. Wow. Let's go c5. This is sort of best setup against the Cole. Just knight c6, dc there z5, and against this I can just take and transpose back into the caro-kann, so you can literally get to these positions from the caro-kann more often, I would say. Let's go h6, and depending on what they do, okay, on bishop h4 maybe just bishop e7. Bishop d6 is fine as well, but I think this is easier overall to deal with white's play. Maybe bishop f5 is clever now. We can take and then play for like knight e4. You can take and maybe go knight e5. Knight e4 feels kind of fine though. Let's try this idea. I don't always play like this, but it feels nice because g5 f4 could be a threat. And okay, after bishop takes, it should be reasonable. Not really loving what I did. Now it just feels worse, so I kind of hate my position for doing that. I should have just played the standard plan. I don't know why I feel this need of experimenting with stuff when I haven't looked it up before. I'll just play rook b8 though, it's not a disaster yet. Knight e5. Okay, I think I can get an easy game after takes and d4. Getting rid of the isolated pawn because c4 it's kind of slow. Yeah, just gonna take and pretty equal game. Maybe just queen e7. Rook d8 next. Okay, against h3 just rook f d8. Could do queen b4. And the thing is, if we trade or knight gets active, could also do knight b4, knight e5 kind of thing. I think I like that even better. Knight b5, knight d4 though, maybe. Hitting f5 could be unpleasant, so just gonna do this one. As caro players, you know we love to trade queens. And we see queen e3. Could go f4, but then maybe queen e4. We'll do knight d4 to trade more stuff. It's kind of drawish, isn't it? Knight d4 is like a bit too much. But f4, maybe double. Okay, let's do knight d4. Trading everything, okay? I don't like how I played this game. Just gonna be liquidating it. Would be funny though if we managed to win from such an equal position. I think he has to trade and play e6. Otherwise he might be getting worse position. Okay, queen b3. Maybe that's also doable, but maybe we can shove this down his throat with queen e3. Asking how are you gonna avoid the queen trade now? I don't see a way. Like queen e3, take back with rook, and maybe he can still go for e6, but then maybe pawn takes on e6 and rook d2 could be slightly nicer for us. Okay, this also rook e8. Okay, I'm not sure why he's playing that move first. Could do f4 with f3 ideas. Would be nice if I can damage his pawn structure. Now I'll have to take. Maybe I rushed with this. Maybe f3 was interesting, but I think he can take with check, and that's kind of bad for us. So I could go with 3. He's probably gonna play g3, but then we have rook d2 maybe. Playing with fire a bit, but I think it's fine. That looks like a good move, trying to double up. Not gonna lie. I think it's just a draw. Let's take, and I think we're playing rook d2. Could also play rook f8, but that's like safest, I think. Rook d8 is bad, so just this and rook f8, and could just repeat with rook f7 if he goes rook e7. Okay, this is just equal. Taking a little bit of space. Okay, if he checks me, I'll probably have to block. Maybe rook b6 is strong now, and b4 a5. Probably still drawish. King go check, he goes back. Maybe I have rook f4. How is this endgame? Starting to be fun. He can't move the rook as b pawn drops, and not sure he wants to trade. It's tricky endgame if he trades. We see the trade. If b5, I'll play b6. I think we've got this one, boys. I don't know what it looks like to you, but I think we managed to trick him. But this doesn't feel right if I go there. So king d4, king e2, king c4, king f3, we take, he takes, king c4, king g4, b5. Okay, I think we've got this if I go there. Definitely got this. I'll have to pre-move everything. Hey, we managed to get it in time. Okay, did you guys expect me to win from that position? I think that was a pretty good win from like an equal position, even though like the beginning was pretty crappy. I think it's always nice to win from such drawish games. It's a pretty nice skill to have. But here he makes mistake and then he has to suddenly give up the pawn. Okay, I mean this is probably drawish because black is not winning with the extra pawn, but I mean we can try to pose problems in a practical game. Probably just an easy draw objectively. But okay, I mean endgame is that loss, so you should never take. After this, it's pretty much doomed, as you can see. And the endgame was quite precise. Thanks a lot for making it this far into the video, and if you're looking for more content, make sure to check out some of the previous episodes from the same series.